Good morning, beautiful people of the internet. We're slightly late, but we are still here, and that's what matters. And joined, as always, by Helen Chorley, Piotr Rusinek, and we are likely to have Adam Lawrence a little bit later. He's called in with some tech issues, but he had an absolute belter of a Sunday, his Sunday review. Who's read it? Who hasn't read it? Let us know in the comments. I read it. Piotr read it. I didn't read it, but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna probably bring it up briefly with our own views, but we'll wait for Adam to join us to go through exactly what his intentions were with the article. But we were going to share. Myself and Helen were at the Property Investor Show.
We were on Friday.
So it's a 2-day event. It happens every year, or has done for the last 20 years at least. What did you think about it, Helen? Was it your first time?
It was my first time. Yes, wow. Got lured over there with the promise that you were going to be there.
Of course, yeah. That was the main driver.
No, it was good. It was nice to see actually lots of different people. There seemed to be lots of auction stands, which I was surprised about, but some usual faces. Mike Bristow was there. Actually, we missed each other. We messaged each other afterwards. I'm like, we just missed each other. So from Crowd Property, he was there. Lots of people doing really interesting talks. And of course, we had our Property Investor Award judges hats on. So we were doing a panel with the Property Investors Bureau, Cyril Thomas, and also joined by Richard Bowser, a Property Investor News, and Vanish Patel. And giving our thoughts on what makes an award-winning deal, what stands out. Talking about, we got through some good examples, didn't we? And also what it takes to do a good strategy these days in this environment. So no, it was fun, wasn't it?
It was really good fun, yeah. And it was probably the first year that I've been there where there's normally at least 2 auctioneers there. So there's right. I mean, Clive Emerson goes to everything. Right. They're in every property magazine. They're every big property national thing. They've been doing that for donkey's years. It's a big part of their marketing, branding, and exposure. And then normally you see Auction House Scotland, which is a bit of a strange one. Find them in industrial London. But John is normally
part of Scottish expansion and taking over England, and
100%. And they are most welcome to it. We've completely destroyed the country, so they can have it now. But yeah, I think the first time I went there and I saw him, he was in kilt, like full regalia. It was absolutely brilliant. And anyone that knows John knows he's a good laugh anyway. But I think they were at the Auction House National Conference, I think Thursday or Friday. So they weren't there. But UK Connect Auctions were there. That's a smallish auctioneer based out in the Essexy Kent area. Surprisingly, I had 5 or 6 members of staff manning the thing. So good for them. And then My Auctions, which is run by a chap called Stuart Collar Brown, really nice guy. I think they're based roughly in the same kind of area, that Southeast London, kind of Kent borders. You had Essential Information Group, which we know, and it was the first time. So David Sandeman, who was the longest running exhibitor at that event, it was the first time he had his daughter on the stand selling subscriptions, which was brilliant.
Yes, we met her. She's lovely, isn't she?
She was lovely, and she was handing out copies of the book. Piotr, you would have been proud.
Yeah.
First time I'd met Bruce in real life, and he seems.
Was he there?
Guy. He was there.
Oh, amazing! I just spoke on the phone. I had our annual chat about making the payment.
Yeah, he said he goes. I just spoke to Piotr a couple of days, very recently. I was like, okay. Normally, it's quite a family affair because David Sandeman's sister Mary works in the company, and she's normally at the stand. She's super friendly, but it looks like maybe David thought he'd bring a slightly younger model, so his daughter was on the stand, which was good fun.
Usually, EIG group is quite a chatty bunch because got a policy, right, which you love.
Yapping is
policy.
better than tapping. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, they prefer phone calls to emails.
I love that.
It's
Yapping better than tapping. I love that.
Yeah, and they're always like on the phone and chatting to subscribers about like how to like set up your like basically the whole sales stuff is a bit like a help desk as well. So they not only sell, but they kind of like really look after whoever they've got on the team. But yeah.
Cool. And it is though when you actually pick up the phone to somebody, even if you have a specific question and a specific intent in mind, sometimes the other stuff that comes out. That's why I like going and kind of when I'm back going and meeting people and chatting, because other things come up that just off an email wouldn't necessarily come up, and you get these little insights, and you're like, oh, yeah.
I think if you have an established relationship with someone, like you've been working with them or talking to them in real life for a period of time, then like when you send an email, it's very easy for it to be translated in the tone and the meaning that you're expecting, because you read the email with that person's voice and think, right, I've got it, I know what's going on. But if you've never spoken to the person in real life and you just get a cold email, even if you kind of messaged before or something like that, or you don't know them very well, you can interpret that email, the writings, 50 different ways.
Yeah.
And so all of those ways could be completely wrong. So I really do like Piotr tells me, just get on the phone and start talking to people. So I spend most of my time kind of talking to people and like trying to do business and all this kind of. But I spend all my time.
It's working good, right?
It's working well.
Yeah.
We've got almost 4 million pounds worth of deals that we're running through. So it's working. So the yapping is working.
Yeah, the yapping is working. Today's chief yapping officer.
Yeah. And it's all fine until I don't stop yapping, and then Piotr loses his temper with me.
That's okay. Other departments can take over.
Yeah, that's it.
We had some yapping problems on Friday, didn't we? Couldn't get words and edgeways with some people. But
well, I mean, we don't need to be too coy with this. Everybody knows you give Vanish a platform and he will go off. He'll just a million words a minute. I mean, quite a bit of it's value. Bless him. I mean, he's been doing it long enough to know his P's from his Q's. But gosh, we hang around with people that do not take breath. They just don't. I mean, and all to the positive, like Adam. If Adam is in full flow, he doesn't breathe. I don't know how he does it.
No.
I think some people maybe operate from a perspective that yapping is better than breathing.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by people that make me look quiet, and that's quite an achievement, really.
Nice one. Well, but talking about yapping, we'll be yapping on Thursday, which we'll mention later. We're running a webinar about navigating turbulent times.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll mention about this later on. Put a link in. Or what else was happening in the Property Investor News Show? Property Investor Show.
Property Investor Show. Our friend Ranjit was there from Property Investor News. Got a obligatory photo.
We all got a hug, of course. He's a big hugger, is Ranjit. So, but I tell you what, I'm not an overly competitive person. He says with his eyes closed. I'm not an overly competitive person. I can't look Piotr in the face. I'm not an overly competitive person, but right next to Property Investor News magazine, there was a solicitor's, right? And to get people to come up to their stand, which was like a double stand, they had one of these like race car buggies, and then they had a top 10 lap time behind the chair. So I went on it like 3 times. I had to keep beating my time.
It's a very clever gimmick, wasn't it, really? There was loads of blokes around there all the time.
And there was someone who like was 4th or 5th. It was definitely a woman's name. It was like, I can't remember what it was. It began with L or something. It was a woman's name. It was like Lynn or something like that, who completely smashed the field. Like the highest I got was like 6th place. And then I went back 4 hours later and I was off the board. I was like, Jesus. But there was some other really interesting. So you've got like Liz Bateson and Cal Candola and Charlie Tar had they were sharing a stand. And how they got people there was they had a bowl of like Quality Street and 5 or 6 bottles of bubbly. So you kind of stood there and
old school.
Old school, that's it. Get them drunk and get them full of sugar. That's how you get them to make rash decisions. And like Liz was there with the little glass of champagne. She's like, "Oh, don't make me drink by myself." He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I can't make a drink by herself."
That old line.
Nice,
and then
nice.
there were a couple of other like really good chats that were going on. There was a whole prop tech one, which was really interesting. I didn't get to go to too many others because I was too busy handing books out. So we knew quite a lot of people that were there with stalls. So I took 5 boxes of books. And by the time Dominic turned up, I'd already handed out 2 boxes.
Yay.
Oh, God. But it was
Nice.
good fun. Because I was saying to them, I was like, well, if you want people to come to your stand, why don't you offer them a free book?
I love how you exhibited at Property Investor Show without having a stand, without paying a penny.
I know. I saved us £6,000 plus VAT. Look at that.
That's a good day of work.
I saw Julie, one of our solicitors that we work with. She had a stand there. It was pretty good. She had a lady that worked on the stand with her, rather attractive lady. So I was like, oh, I'm going to introduce you to Dominic, who's a client, right? Because Dominic is free, single, and ready to mingle. And then every time I kept going up to the stand, no one was there. And she was like, oh, and Julie was like, can you introduce me to Helen? And I was, yeah, of course I will. We went there and the stand was empty. So we just took a picture with Julie's face in the background saying, we missed you. Where are you?
Yeah, we did.
Oh wow. Sounds like a fun day. And what was that? So, I want to see that. I want to hear the highlights of that of the actual panel because I'm interested what makes the award-winning deal.
The question that I answered was, someone said, what makes like an award-winning deal? Like what stood out for you? And I told the story of one of the Savoy's property deals. And it was a beast. I mean, I can tell the story again, but like it was, they bought a Shop and Uppers in West London. I think it was a UB postcode, and it was basically just a retail shop and ancillary bar, which I think they were going to convert. And they made an offer. They went to legals, and they realised it included a garage to the rear, like completely separate. Garage, which was out in the back. So essentially, when they put their offer in, they didn't value the garage. They put no price on the garage element of the building. So they've got this garage pretty much for free. So, but the garage had been used as some kind of workshop rather than just like a garage for a car, right, where you park your car or you store some rubbish. So they got PD and they converted it into a muse house. And they did all that. They did the work, and within it was less than 6 months because those guys are rapid fast when they do conversions. It was less than 6 months, and they got it revalued at £400,000. So they created £400,000 worth of value out of fresh air. I mean, I think the build cost was like 50 or 60 grand or something like that. Probably skewing the figures slightly.
Probably more like 120J, I think.
I'm telling you, it really wasn't that much money.
No.
And it was quick because they've got like 5 or 6 projects on at the go.
Yeah,
they run the projects all at the same time, and because it's cookie cutter, so it's all the same bathrooms, all the same kitchens, They buy on bulk. They've got their own in-house team. Like we couldn't have built it for. I don't know many people that could have built it for the money, but they didn't pay that much money for it. But still, out of what they put into it, they created massive amounts of value just by knowing what to look for.
Yeah.
And it was one of the 3 applications since I've been judging that I awarded a 10 for.
Ooh.
So it was juicy.
Nice. We like a bit of a bonus thing. So we actually discovered a bit of a bonus with our Bristol purchase because we purchased those 3 light industrial units, and like there is a space outside of one of these industrial units which is like fenced off, and but we were told by one of like the tenants that apparently there is more space that belongs to this property than the fenced off area. And we were like, okay, well, interesting. How do we find out? Like, we looked at title plans, but title plans are very approximate, so they're not accurate, as in like you cannot just exactly know where the boundary is in the physical world. Like, more or less, but it's for guidance only. But fortunately, we've got like some drains and pipes from water pipes and drains coming through our land. So, and there are manholes which are exactly marked on those plans, the drainage and water plans. So basically, we know exactly where our boundary is in relation to the manholes, and those are very accurate plans, so we can exactly measure. So basically, additionally to our 5,000 square foot of space, we also have about 2 car parking spaces, which another company's been using for a few years. But they will be getting a phone call from us saying, very sorry.
But I mean, what's important about this revelation is that parking spaces on that industrial estate are gold dust. So if we've got one unit that's going vacant and maybe another one, which is brilliant because we can get the proper rents in and turn it around and really kind of asset manage it before it's traded out. If it's let with parking spaces, it will definitely guarantee a premium on rent because there's nowhere to park.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so, and it's a nice kind of bonus. I mean, we wouldn't have paid more money just because of this, but I think those spaces are worth about 30K in my kind of calculations. And we still got for like little money. We basically bought it at 10% yield, and all the extras are bonuses, and the rents are increasing by about 40%. So we should be at 15%, 15% yield in about 3-4 months' time. Fingers crossed.
Wow.
It's nice to have a bonus thing before Christmas.
And we put up
Happy Christmas, yeah.
we put up a for let to sell kind of board on the site for the bit that's going vacant. And within 5 minutes of putting that board up, someone else who already rents large space on there came up to us and said, "Take the board down. I'm renting this from you." We're like, "Sorry?" He goes, "I rented from you." We're like, "You don't know how much I rented from you." We're like, "All right."
So, name your price.
We have to double the rent on that one.
Wow.
And we've got someone else has we didn't take the board down, obviously. We got an email over the weekend from someone else going, "I'd like to know more about the rental." So it's kind of there's a high demand, which is really good, and there's no real vacant lots on that industrial estate, and it's about a mile, maybe a mile and a half, something like that, from Bristol Temple Meads, which is just outside the centre of Bristol, but it's old Bristol. It's like the old Bristol Quarter. It's really nice. So it's in a really cool location. So all props go to Ed Klein's for bringing that one to the fore. But yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we'll submit it for next year's Property Investors Awards.
God, yeah, I mean,
if that makes an award-winning, if that was an award-winning deal, then we should be submitting it.
Yes. I literally, Helen, we had dinner after the property investor show. We went to this tapas place with Dominic, and then Helen had to scoot off. She had a birthday party to go to, and then me and Dom like, oh, look, let's have one more drink before we part ways. And then Luke, his business partner, turned up, and they're talking about this deal that I've been trying to. I helped them structure the purchase because there was a higher offer. So I showed them how to position themselves, how to structure their offer. They secured it. They've subsequently gone in for a price drop because it's taken so long. They're trying to secure the dilapidations and the capital allowances. To make this deal, it's going to be an unbelievable deal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then they said to me, he said, oh, we know someone who may want to buy it from us. I said, you're putting it in auction. I've been talking to them about 3 months about it. So don't do this to me. You're putting it in auction. And they're like, oh, but what if this person will pay more? I said, I tell you what, why don't we underwrite it?
Yeah.
So part of me putting it out there on this call is to apply some pressure to Dominic, who always watches these, to make sure that this happens. Apply the social pressure. And I was running through the scenarios, and Luke is a JP Morgan Chase kind of guy. Like, he's big banking, he understands these things. He's like, wait, so what does that mean? Wait, is that guaranteed wait, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to run some numbers. So I got messages from them over the weekend going, this is the spreadsheet. This is what it looks like. I think we're on board for this. Let's talk to this person about making it happen. I was like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. But it shows that there are some still really, really good deals that are being done and being put out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
100%. Yeah. Well, it's I guess the structures of those deals is the most important thing, because all the little things are like bonuses, but those bonuses do add up. You cannot really rely on them to make the deal work. But it's like, if you don't rely on them, you buy the property for like the bare value of what it is, and then all the things add up. Amazing stuff. That's why we have those calls and the Auction Buyers Club and all the other things.
Yes.
And that's why we're going to do the webinar. So I'm going to post the link to the webinar. It's going to be on Thursday at 7 p.m. So it'll be a bit more structured of a call, and we'll hold it on Zoom, so people can find out more about this. Yeah, and I think that like what's important as well is with Adam's supplement today. He talked a lot about benchmarking and comparing yourself or comparing other things like inflation to different periods, and how dangerous this is, right? So I guess the same with deals. It's also dangerous to compare your deal to someone else's deal, because it's a completely different reference and a completely different.
Unless you're a judge at one of the awards, then yes, it is dangerous to compare.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It is,
Yeah.
because what do you call it? It's it's like you don't look at what the actual fundamentals of your deals are. You just look for the result, and that's what's dangerous, because the result only comes as a function of the fundamental things in your deal, rather than you wanting your deal to be better than someone else's.
Wow, look at that. That got all spiritual there for a second.
Not spiritual, it's very grounded. It's very grounded.
I think it's dangerous to compare yourself. If you're talking about, because I think Adam was talking about comparing yourself to others and comparing the current market to previous markets. So comparing what's going on now to 2008, you're going to have a bad time if you do that. Comparing the current values and the current things to 12 months ago, or just before COVID, or just before Brexit. You can't live back there. You have to live now. You have to be able to focus on making now work, rather than, I should have done this then. And it's I think probably one of the best parts about how he framed that was, it is dangerous to live in the past.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't improve today. It doesn't make tomorrow any better.
Yeah, and like your goals today are different than your goals like 6 months ago. because of the different environment, right?
Yeah.
That's
living with regret and would have, should have, could have. It's that's the way to insanity, isn't it? It's you did what you could with you made the best decision with the person you are and the knowledge that you had at that time. And this does go for like life, not just property, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So to think, oh, should, well, yeah. And in property, I think actually it's really tempting, isn't it? I think about all the properties that I bought. So my very first flat that I bought was in Covent Garden. I think I was like 23 or something. I think it was actually last century. And you're like, oh, if I still had hold of that, but I don't. And, anything could have happened. You only see like the positive side of, oh, if I'd kept it. Well, what if you had kept it and then, but then it had lost money or you don't know what would have happened. You're looking back at hindsight with a very specific slant of, oh, it would have all worked out well. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm a big fan of using the past to motivate the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can turn around and say, oh, when the rates were 2% or 1% or 0.5 or like 2% above base or whatever, you can turn around and go, I should have been on an absolute drive. I should have been buying 20 properties a month. I should have been but like you say, but now you can go around, right, okay, well, now everything is X amount above base, right? So now it comes down to, I need to be making hay while the sun shines now.
Yeah.
Right. And you need to go or I should have done that kind of deal, or I should have held on to that. But then next time you buy something like that, you hold on to it. If you don't take if all you're taking is the criticisms of the past rather than the learnings of the past, then it's never going to work in your favor. I mean, you can't go blindly into the future without taking your knowledge and your experience and those things with you. But if you use them as boulders around your neck or on your shoulders to weigh you down, then I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, totally.
Indeed. Look at you at being spiritual as well.
You know what? I'm
Good
trying.
influence.
I'm not comparing myself to you, Piotr, but I'm trying to step up.
Who's going to get a better spiritual lesson from today?
That's it. I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. That's it. That's the rule. And I think Adam said that as well, right? That's how you compare. That's how you really draw comparison. That's your benchmark. You wake up tomorrow and you think, right, this is who I was yesterday. How do I put 1% on top of that? And then you do the same thing the following day. How do I put 1% on top of that? And it compounds and it builds and you evolve and you grow and you become a better person. Fingers crossed.
Yes. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Yesterday I had a funny situation because I saw this like cartoon with like a spiritual lesson, and it was about this like it's like a really good page on Instagram, and that profile basically shares like spiritual lessons in a very practical like way, and that one was about like loneliness, how like loneliness is not about having no people around you, but it's about communicating or not being able to communicate what's important to you. And I was like, oh, that's so amazing. I shared it on my story, and I got so many messages of people saying, oh, if you're lonely, call me. People like, oh, what's up?
Oh.
Like, having the best time of my life. Well, thank you guys. I just shared it because I don't know, somehow it's like it was really nice. But yeah, I think it was misinterpreted that I'm lonely. But fortunately, Jay is coming tonight.
Yes, yeah, I'm on my way to Portugal. Yeah,
I won't be lonely anymore.
No, yeah, in 3 or 4 days you'll be annoyed.
How it was funny how it was interpreted, but I just love the love around me. It's good.
That's so cute. Bless them.
Oh. Okay. Well, guys, make sure I'm not lonely on the webinar on Thursday at 7 p.m. Oh, it's so cool.
What's the account? I want to know what the account is.
Oh, it's After School 100, and the school is SKOOL.
It sounds like my type of thing.
It is, yeah. It's like cartoons and it's like all sorts of spiritual things in a very like kind of like anyone can understand it way, and practical as well and grounded. So yeah, it's good. Highly recommend it.
Might have to use some of their or get permission to use some of their things in my book that I've now started.
Whoa!
Wow, the bomb just got
Whoa!
dropped. There was no foreplay there at all, Helen.
Whoa!
0 to book.
Wow!
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 Because it's kind of like spiritual guide to invest in, so it's very topical. We've not even rehearsed this. How beautiful a flow is this?
Wow!
Wow!
Yeah. Is there like 6 chapters on red flags and bastards? I mean, I want to read this book.
Well, the introduction certainly opens with a nice juicy example.
Oh, okay. That's how you get some momentum behind this.
Nice.
Right. Let's get some accountability, Helen. How long do you think it's going to take you to write the book?
When is the book launch party? That's the question to ask, Jake.
We need to put that in our diaries. You have to have that date ready like now. We need to know.
Hopefully next summer. I'm setting myself a chapter a month, but I'm quite I'll procrastinate, delay, and then I'll sit down and smash it all out in like a week at a time. I'll do like little chapters. So
now every Sunday 9 a.m. want an update on the chapter. How close? How many words?
Actually, I booked myself into a hotel in Malta, which is really quite ironic, seeing as I live about 10 minutes drive from this hotel. But when I go back to sit down and actually get it all out, so there should be some good progress to report in October.
Have you got a name for the book yet?
Not yet.
That smells like a public competition.
You for some help, Helen, for it.
That's a public competition.
Yeah, 100%. So and if you want any sort of like support or help around writing the book, like me and Jay did extremely well, because I think like we had each other to like push and kind of discuss ideas, and I think if you want some help, like we're always available. Call us. We want the party on summer. Yeah, and what worked really well between the two of us, because we had like little kind of competitions every time we met and sat, and we like, okay, all right, how many words do you have? Okay, 1,000. Okay, I've got 800. All right, let's...
yeah. There is no lunch. There is no lunch until this is done.
Yes, yeah, and then whoever has less words, then they have to buy lunch. So it was pretty serious. Pretty serious.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean, it was literally 4 months for about 8-something hours every Sunday, right? Well, it was Saturday or Sunday. It was one, but literally every weekend.
Yeah, most even Saturday and Sunday sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make it fun, Helen. Get us involved. Oh. I think we exaggerated with coaching, Jay. I think Helen is frozen with excitement.
Fear. Yeah, fear and excitement. We blew up the internet, Piotr, with the awesomeness of our advice, apparently.
Anyway, Adam seems impressed by our deal. Adam definitely need to do a deal together at some point. It would be really good to create some award-winning architectural amazing project of some sort and sell it.
You know what?
Without.
When we hung out with him at the accountants event, right?
Yes.
I think he quite liked the idea of doing a trade. I think we can get him in on a trade, like a juicy little. Yeah. We've got a couple of bits coming up.
Yeah, Adam definitely likes a bit of a CGI trade.
Yes.
So. Great stuff. Well, it looks like Adam hasn't joined yet, but maybe he will. Maybe he won't. What else? What else is there, Jay? What's that? What's you coming out to Portugal? We're gonna do a next Sunday live from Portugal. It's exciting.
we got the lives, and we've got the 2 buyers club calls while I'm in Portugal. We've got the Thursday masterclass workshop. We've got the Sunday live as well. There's plenty going on. My goal for Portugal this time round is we're trying to secure a block of flats. So the focus is, once we're opposite each other and working through how this deal is going to work, I think we'll get the offer accepted, if not exchanged, while we're out there. So I'm out there for 1 week, and that's my goal. Like the last goal was let's see how many properties we can take on and put into auction, and we got some really good assets in, really good prices, and we were working hard through those, and I think we met the target, a fairly reasonable target of what we were looking to achieve from that. So this one is, let's get this deal done, because we're looking at buying this for less than the cost of building it, and it's income producing. Like it's in
London,
and it's in London.
And it's a nice asset. It's the kind of thing that if you hold in your portfolio, they're like, wow, this is amazing. This is like...
So literally starting tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m, that's what we'll be doing. I'm going to be driving this person up the wall 8 times a day, every hour on the hour. What have you got for me? Can you send me this? I'm looking for that. Put me in contact with this person. Let's do this. Helen's back.
I'm back. Sorry, clearly my computer went into panic, like, oh my God, she's going to actually use me. Rather than sat there like with some Excel. I'm going to use something other than Excel on it for a change.
Nice. Cool.
Well, Helen, when we were writing the book, the way I think what enabled us to write it fairly easy was I did a chapter plan. So I was like, these are the chapters that we're going to write. So we basically named them and said, okay, these are the parts these are the bits that we want to touch upon in there. And the way we structured the book was every single chapter is structured the same way. So it's like introduction, principle, Piotr's views, my views, top 5 tips, 5 things to look out for, all of these different types of things. So every single chapter you know what you're looking for on each chapter. And by having that in place, it enabled the writing process to be quick, because and it literally took us, from the point of deciding to write the book, it took us about 6 months to actually start writing the book. We put the plan together. We shared that. We had a couple of ideas that went backwards and forwards, and we changed a couple of bits. And it was like, right, we have to do this now. And then the way we did that was we just put social pressure on us. We went live on Facebook, and we did posts, and we're like, we're writing this book. We don't know, it's going to be about this, this, and this. Can anyone come up with suggestions for book names? And then people were like, every time we went live or every time we went somewhere, like, how's the book going? And if you didn't have an update, you'd feel like an arsehole. You're like, I've not done anything, right?
And the best thing was that we discovered that we write things so differently. Like I write my piece, and then I just write, and then I just like, oh, this is shit. I change it, and then like change it again. I'm like, this is bad, but no, this bit is like gone, and then I write it again. When Jay writes, he like writes slowly, and then the whole thing is finished. Really published. So annoying. But it's like I prefer my style, because it's like I can just like say whatever I want, and then I know that it doesn't have to be published, and then I can just change it. And the more I change things, the more actually good things come out, because I always have this kind of fear, is it the actual thing that I want to say, or is it the right way I want to say it? And if I just write it, then I can change it and I can actually refine it, so it's more digestible. What's your style?
That's more my way, to be honest. The way I've been doing it, so I've got all my chapters like all laid out, all in kind of the order I think I'm going to do. But exactly, rather than trying to like, I've just been concentrating on like brain dumps and doing like a chunk about what I want to say at a time. So I think it's going to come together kind of weirdly and piecemeal. I might need more like editing at the end to rearrange bits, but at the moment I just need to get things out, and then I'll work on actually, well, that flows better there, and so. But just once I get on one, I'm like, it just needs to come out. It's like with my like social media posts. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I need to say something about this and this and this. And I just do this brain dump into Trello and all these things. And then they're out of my head at least. And they're not perfectly formed, but the gist is there. And then I'll come back to them like when I'm in the mood or I'm on a rant or someone's pissed me off or something like a later date, but most of the content is there, then it's just editing it. So
nice.
See, I'm slightly different on that. So what I do is if I come up with an idea or I remember a quote or I hear someone say something, I'll just write that down and then I'll do one sentence following it saying, this is how I want to I want to apply it to this, because obviously someone put it in this, but it applies to this. So I want to make that point. Then I'll ignore it and then I'll go back to the notes and I'll see it. Then I'll go, right, now I'll write the post off of the back of that.
Yeah, cool.
But like when I started, I used to just like write the quote or just write a line. And I thought, right, what the hell was I going to do with this? I had no. So now I have to follow it with the sentence of this is where you heard it and why you heard it. This is what it applies to. Write something fun. And I end up every sentence at the end. Brent sends, write something fun. It's kind of like Piotr always takes the piss out of me for this one. It was the quote about the coconut.
Look at his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun, right? It was fun. And if you
you have to share now. Don't leave us in suspense.
The quote is, a man who swallows a coconut whole has complete faith in his anus.
It's a very Jay quote.
But I got called out. I got called out on one of your posts recently, didn't I? For someone saying, Jay, you write these like fantastic quotes, but I'm pretty sure it's you and you're just putting random names to it.
Yeah, he likes that.
Wow.
Yeah, you
amazing.
Are good at those. I have done that though. The ones that don't get written out, like on all my like little brain dumps on the Trello cards, are the ones where I've just exactly like your meme thing, Piotr, like where I'll just do a screenshot, I'll put it there, and actually if it's got words, I generally know where I was going. But there's one I've been meaning to use. In fact, I'm going to find it and show it to you. And I think of a reason that I could use it every week, and then I think no, it's probably not appropriate. It probably pissed too many people off. Not that overly concerns me, but Helen's brain dumps. Look, it's a very, very long list, but this is my favorite one that I just love this. I don't know if you can see it. One thing about me, I notice weird vibes, bad energy, and sneaky shit.
Sneaky shit.
And literally, I could have written 20 posts using that meme.
You should see how many times you can recycle the same meme and apply it to like different circumstances. Like it's like the instead of 6 degrees of separation, you can have like 160 degrees of bullshit that I've called out or something like that.
And this one meme. Yeah. I quite like that. That should be in the book, I think.
Nice.
I get the impression we won't be seeing Mr. Lawrence this morning, which is for shame. But him and Rod and Sue are running their Resolve retreat this week, so I imagine it was always going to be quite tight getting him on board and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Oh, I wonder who's on that this year, because they've had some great people. Many of our friends have been on those retreats, haven't they? So
Yeah, I think Ed did the retreat once. I'm trying to think of a couple of other people just off the top of my head, but yeah, it's. I mean, we don't do anything like their retreat. Obviously, you don't copy what other people do, but we did the Malta one, which was kind of like, it wasn't a public thing. It was just a couple of property people getting around and having a chat, putting the world to rights, problem solving, drinking, all that kind of stuff. And then we do we did, it was last year, it wasn't this year, Piotr, was it? It was last year.
Last year, a year ago, exactly a year ago. Celebrate the first anniversary of that retreat.
Wow, yeah. So we did Portugal. We were in Albufeira. No, it wasn't. It was outside of Albufeira.
Yeah, it was close enough.
Close enough. Yeah. I'm never going to remember the name of the place, but it was nearby that kind of area.
Yeah. I'm impressed you remember Albufeira. Like, if you're within 20 miles, you're right.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you're applying some flexibility to me now. This is good.
I now learned to apply flexibility. Otherwise, my blood pressure and like other things.
It's not good for your health. We were on an auction buyers club call on Tuesday. It was a Tuesday group. And at the end, someone's like, "Oh, I'm looking for properties in Essex, Kent, Surrey, this, that, and the other." And I started rambling about this property we got in Suffolk, thinking that Suffolk was close to that, and it really wasn't. And then they started laughing at me, because I was too busy focusing on, like, I've got this deal, it makes sense, let's do this deal. And they're like, "Yeah, Jay, I didn't say Suffolk, I said Surrey." I'm like, yeah, I was wrong then. Forget what I said. Trying to sell them something completely out of area. But you know what? It's this is actually a really difficult thing for me to come to terms with, right? Because going back 5 or 6 years, well, actually not even that, going back 4 years, I had an exceptional memory. Exceptional. I remembered every single property that went into auction, who the sellers were, who the buyer, everything, who the solicitor was handling it, what the issue was, whilst there's an auction house, all of it. I got all of it. I had an exceptional memory. And I can't figure out what has happened to my brain.
No excuses. No excuses. No. Jim Quick, the guy who wrote this book about memory and everything else, he got skull massively smashed. He lost whatever, he wasn't remember things. He's the best memory person in the world. Because of other things. No excuses. Suffolk, Surrey, different places.
Yeah, no, I know. But look, I mean, that's obviously, my brain is obviously relying more on heuristics than it is on active knowledge, right? Which is dangerous. That's my point. But if I don't think about why my memory is bad, it's going to be difficult for me to get back to where my memory was, right?
Well, I think number one, it's exactly not relying on the past performance of your memory.
Wow. You hit me hard.
I'm really sorry to inform you, Jay, but I think you're just in perimenopause, because I'm having the same issues.
Oh no, I'm hitting the menopause. Oh no.
Menopause.
In fairness, that would explain the breasts. That would really explain the breasts. That's not a good look.
I'm going to go and get a book, actually, and show you this book that I'm reading for exactly this reason. Bear with me.
Oh, wow. It's going to be interesting. Thank you, Ed. That's a great comment. Jay, message for you.
Yeah. At the moment, you know what? I love that. I love that. That's the perception. That's beautiful. Thank you.
And Ed is saving up for the next Hammer trip.
Yes, Ed. That's it. Portugal no longer has you have to be jabbed to fly BS. You can now just come out and spend time with us. It'll be great fun.
Yay! Yes. So this is the book, because I keep just reading stuff about how women's brains are going to meltdown and you forget things and blah, blah, blah in menopause. I thought, right, I'm going to read something that tells me the opposite. And I heard this. It's called The Upgrade by Dr. Luann Brizendine, who wrote a book about the difference between men's and women's brains. Actually, I wasn't that keen on that. But this one is how the female brain gets stronger and better. in midlife and beyond.
Yeah, love that.
I will read that and report back. Not started it yet. That's my plane read on the way home.
Nice. We need a bit of an upgrade for Jay too. What's that? Is it on Amazon? Jay, this.
Is it? You're buying it and sending it to me? Lovely. Yeah. Maybe
nice.
The female evolved part of my brain will take a lot of benefit from it. But yeah. I mean, I used to run like a memory palace. I had an exceptional memory. I don't know what it is. I used to blame the fact that I'm not sleeping well on the baby and the fact that was affecting my mental performance. But actually, I've included several other things that I think are kind of cogent to it, and now I'm trying to employ some of the old techniques I had when I was running the memory palace to try and improve my thought process.
I would love to do the memory palace thing. I think that would just be fascinating. So nice the other book I'm reading that there's nothing to do with anything, but it's just a really great title: How Not to Die Alone.
How Not to Die Alone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Don't worry, Piotr. I'm getting that one to you now. And don't worry, I've got you. Yeah. You get me the memory book. I'll get you the lonely book. Let's do
this. Surprising science that will help you find love. It's a woman that used to work high up at Google, I think, and now she's like a dating relationship coach. Oh, look, there's a little picture of her. That's not what I imagined she would look like. You know, and you think, you know what you look like in her head. That's not what I imagined she would look like. Look, there you go. It's very
There's
good.
a couple of books of similar titles. I read one, How Not to Die, in general. This is an upgrade to How Not to Die Alone. And then there's another one, Die with Zero, which is a pretty good one. How to spend your money quickly rather than waiting for like some future points where we think we're gonna enjoy it. But so basically, like, what's the best point of spending money and saving money and actually enjoying it and utilizing what we think. So it was a pretty good book.
Well, I'm currently listening to Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life.
Oh, who's that by? That rings a bell.
That is by, let me click on it, John Bishop.
Yes, John Bishop is a Scottish guy. Listening to his, I did some programs with him when he was leading the actual program, and this guy is like, he's got this. He lived in the US for now quite some time, 20, 30 years, but he's originally from Glasgow, so he's got this Scottish accent that's very understandable. So it still has the Scottishness, but it's understandable. So it's like when you listen to it, it's actually entertaining to listen, and it's very like so straight.
Yeah.
And so powerful. Like, I love listening to his audiobooks because the way he speaks, the way he like does things.
I was waiting for you to break out into Scottish accent there, though. Polish
No.
Scottish.
No. Oh no. I think I forgot my Scottish accent. It's now a mixture of English, Scottish, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, do we have anything else more to say? We're back next week. Dialing in. Jay from Portugal. Helen from Malta.
I will. I'll be home again next week.
Yes.
We'll be international once more.
Normal service will be resumed. Yeah. Adam will be in the car, then we'll be complete.
Oh, nice one. Well, Thanks everyone for the interactions. I posted the links to Adam's supplement and our webinar on Thursday at 7 p.m. And yeah, as usual, drop your comments below if you have something piqued your interest. If you have any book writing tips for Helen or any deal finding things for us or deal whatever things, let us know. And if you want to get involved with anything, just keep us posted. We're pretty good responding to messages most of the time. So keep us posted. Thank you guys. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Jay.
Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.